Welcome back to my Keep Up channel. Katie Price lifts the lid on her breakdown, breakups, and bankruptcy as she reveals plans to be a life coach, more children with toyboy lover, and how she is prepping Princess for fame. Love her, hate her, or just bemused by her, everyone has an opinion on Katie Price, myself included. So when she told me she was not only training to become a life coach, but being mentored by a man who is a diagnosed psychopath, I'll admit I raised an eyebrow. Having burst onto the scene in the 90s as the fresh-faced and bubbly Jordan, Katie has stayed in the spotlight for a variety of reasons, and it's not always been positive. There have been rehab stints, financial woes, prison threats, and even attempted kidnappings, all documented in her 7 biographies and in the papers, not to mention the numerous boob jobs, facelifts, and tweakments. Now, aged 46, in a happy relationship and on a healing journey to become a life coach, Katie has revealed to Mail Online her side of the story. By Katie's own admission, she lives and breathes trauma. In 2018, after being robbed and raped during a horrific carjacking in South Africa, Katie had a mental breakdown and attempted suicide. Yet when reflecting on her turbulent past, Katie speaks candidly yet practically, having worked through her problems in therapy. In fact, she is the first to point out during our chat, "I've got severe ADHD and severe PTSD. I've been through breakups, marriages, kidnapped threats, hijacked, held at gunpoint, you name it, I've been through it. And then I had a breakdown, a bad breakdown, survived that, and came out the other end. I just feel that I've been through so much. I want to be a life coach because I do live and breathe trauma, I've been through drama, real life events, and I've come through the other end. So if I can help people in any way I can, then I will." Now it's clear she wants to pass on the wisdom that she's been taught through her years of therapy and start her life coaching journey. "Nowadays I'm very calm," she explains. "I know how to manage things and my expectations, and I wish I had the knowledge I have now and how to cope with situations. If anything bad happens, I try and think of a positive for it. I'm still crazy and chaotic, because that's just me. I've still got the personality, still like to be creative. But now, I'm in control. No one's controlling me. I am me. No one, absolutely no one, would break me now, never." A self-confessed open book and the author of 7 biographies, there's not much the public don't know about Katie. In turn, there's not much her children won't have seen, read, or heard about Katie's colorful past. But the former Page 3 girl is a doting mother to her brood and has ensured they can always talk to her if they have any concerns. She has raised her eldest son Harvey Price, 22, on her own. His father Dwight York seemingly has no involvement in his life. When Katie first fell pregnant with Harvey, who has autism, partial blindness, and Prader-Willi syndrome, Dwight denied he was the father until a DNA test proved his paternity. Katie also shares son Junior, 18, and daughter Princess, 16, with first husband Peter Andre, 51, and son Jet, 10, and Bunny, 9, with her third husband, Kieran Haler. Junior and Princess have followed in their parents' footsteps and are starting to become names in their own right. The duo are often photographed at age-appropriate showbiz events, and while Junior is taking after his dad Peter by launching a singing career, Katie's mini-me Princess has gone into modeling. So now they're becoming red carpet regulars and have been building their own fan bases. Does Katie have any advice on the trappings of fame? "They're pretty shrewd," Katie muses. "They've grown up with it and they know what it's like when it comes to all of that. They know the truth about what they've read, and that's the thing. They know the truth about everything. But I think things are changing now. I think with word of mouth, people are realizing that I've changed. I've changed my mindset. I can't control what people have written in the past, and all I can do is just prove myself." With Katie's eldest daughter Princess, many have wondered if she would follow in her mother's footsteps and go under the knife. Yet this isn't the case, as Katie insists. "Princess knows she's beautiful," Katie assures. "She doesn't need anything doing, and I think I put her off surgery for life, which is a good thing. When you have surgery, people see the before and after pictures and they don't get to see what happens in between, but Princess has seen." Being a working mother of 5 means there's barely a moment for Katie to take for herself, but she doesn't have any regrets. In fact, she'd like to have even more children. Right now, Katie is dating Married at First Sight star JJ Slater, 31, who last month professed his love for the glamour model. The feeling is mutual. Katie is so sure of their 6-month romance that she wants to have children with the reality star, but insists she's in no rush to make it happen. "Yes, I want more kids," she admits. "If I could get it with JJ, if he wants kids, but I've learned not to rush things in relationships. Before, I rushed marriages, rushed kids, rushed everything, and look what happened. JJ is on the same wavelength as me. There's no rush for anything. So, I'm not rushing anything. JJ is very calm, he just lets me get on with it. He understands me, and just lets me be me. I'm just fed up with making Mr. Prices, I just call all my exes Mr. Prices." As Katie reasons, "I've been in toxic relationships, being made to feel like a victim. Being an independent woman, men find that hard and they put you down for it when there's nothing wrong with it." Katie has previously blamed the fathers of her children for her repeated rehab stints. The Celebrity Big Brother winner famously struck up a relationship with former Premier League footballer Dwight Yorke, 51, in 2001, and broke up soon after Katie fell pregnant with her eldest child Harvey, now 21. Katie later married singer Peter in 2006, after meeting on I'm a Celebrity in 2004, and he helped raise Harvey while they also welcomed Junior and Princess before they split in 2009. Admitting she was on the rebound, Katie started dating cage fighter Alex Reed, 48, a mere 8 weeks after her split from Pete. Following a whirlwind romance, the pair wed in Las Vegas in January 2010, but the marriage fell apart less than a year later. 2 years later, Katie fell for Argentinian model Leandro Pena, 37, after meeting him at Elton John's Oscars party in LA. Revealing she betted him on the first night, the pair went on to get engaged before they split in 2012. Later that year, Katie met part-time stripper and plasterer Kieran Hayler, who was 9 years her junior. The pair exchanged vows a mere 5 weeks later, with Katie already pregnant with the couple's first son Jet. However, in 2017 the pair announced they were going to divorce, 3 years after she found out about Kieran's affairs with her friends Jane Poutney and Chrissy Thomas. In July 2019, Katie announced she was engaged again to personal trainer Chris Boyson, 34, after a year of dating. The reality star, who was still legally married to third husband Kieran at the time, made the shock announcement during an appearance on Loose Women. Their engagement was short-lived however, as the couple split in November of that year, with Katie admitting to Chris that she cheated on him. The reality star went on to find love with Carl Woods in July 2020, and they became engaged the following year, before their on-off relationship eventually ended earlier this year. Both Katie's love life and personal life has been splashed over the papers for most of her life, and she admits that she can be a lot to take on for prospective partners. "I come as a package," she explains with a shrug. "I'm not just what you read about. You know, the glamour days, I love doing my photo shoots, it's quite a lot for a man to put up with. But when they get to know me as a person, I'm just a normal down-to-earth girl. I have all this chaos that comes with me, and it's knowing how to manage things, manage your diary, and manage your time." The public have had a front-row seat for Katie's downfalls, watching on as she dealt with the fallout of abusive relationships, being sexually abused and declared bankrupt twice. But now she's taking the power back into her own hands, by training to become a life coach. Her choice of mentor, however, is an interesting one. Dubbed the psychopath life coach, Louis Raymond Taylor has a history of violence, drug addiction, and prison stints, and has even been accused of running a cult. So I have to ask, why would you want advice from a man who has confessed he is a psychopath? It turns out millions do, and for good reason. Louis, 34, hosts his own podcast, Life Reclaimed, and had his life story featured in Netflix documentary, The Psychopath Life Coach, last year. Explaining where the name came from, he tells me, "When I was 18, I was diagnosed with an antisocial personality disorder, which is the clinical term that's associated with psychopathy. So, I am technically a psychopath, and I'm also a life coach." Neurodiversity is a marginalized part of society where people put this label of a psychopath on people, when actually there's a lot more to it. There's a lot of people on this spectrum that have these antisocial personality traits and don't always do things negatively. Sometimes they harness those skills for positives. Lewis met Katie last year when she appeared on his podcast and, like many, she was blown away by his life story. 9 years ago, Lewis was convicted for the 11th time after punching a man so hard the victim had a mini-stroke and a bleed on his brain. Having hit rock bottom, Lewis realized, I was repeating the same cycles and doing the same things over and over again, expecting a different result. That's the definition of insanity. So for the first time, I started to take responsibility for myself and look at myself in the mirror and realize that if I wanted my life to change, then I had to change. Less than a decade later, Lewis is the CEO of $25 million life coaching business, The Coaching Masters, and became an overnight celebrity following the release of a Netflix documentary about his life. It's a transformation that impressed not just millions of viewers, but Katie too. You couldn't make this up. Katie exclaims. When you see his story, you would never ever think in a million years watching him in his younger days how he would turn things around. He's a prime example of how you can have a real **** time and turn things around if you get yourself together and get the help that you need. Yet despite his newfound following, Lewis is not naive to thinking people might question his life coaching career, or indeed Katie's. Lewis reasons, I think a lot of people are going to be laughing and joking and saying, how can a psychopath be a life coach? How can Katie Price be a life coach when she's put herself in this situation and that situation? But you've got to think Katie's been in the industry for decades, still inspiring people and still has millions of followers. It takes a lot of resilience to be able to do that. There will be a lot of people that have a lot of negative things to say, but there'll also be a lot of people that have been inspired and empowered by Katie for decades now. She will make a very big difference to a lot of people because they will resonate and connect with her in a way that they won't resonate and connect with anybody else. So watch out, Katie Price is here to make a difference. As he says this, I can't help but wonder if this is the end of Katie's troubles for good. I'm talking to Katie and Lewis in the Daily Mail offices. However, this interview was originally set to take place at the notorious Mucky Mansion, Katie's 19-room home in Dial Post, West Sussex, that famously fell into disrepair. That plan soon became impossible, as in the last few weeks, Katie moved out and into a smaller home in a sleepy village nearby. She insists the move was her choice, and she's glad to see the back of her cursed Mucky Mansion, adding police had advised her to leave after acid was thrown at her car. Now I'm out of it, that house, it's the best thing I've ever done, she insists. Conflicting reports state she was facing eviction from her home due to her financial woes. Katie was declared bankrupt in March after failing to pay over £750,000 in unpaid tax. It is the second bankruptcy faced by Katie, as she is being chased by creditors for a £3.2 million payment over the failure of her company Jordan Trading Ltd. Yet Katie just wants to move on, admitting, I am sick to death of dealing with this bankruptcy story. I've sorted out my stuff, so I don't know why the papers keep going on about that. It's just so boring. I haven't been evicted. I've still got my house. I'm in my new house, and I've been wanting to get out of my old house for absolute years. It's been nothing but hell in that house. The bankruptcy case is the latest in a long line of dramas and shocking events in her life. Katie suffered trauma from a young age, having been raped in a park at the age of 7. The media personality was also sexually exploited by a photographer as a child, who took indecent photographs of her. She revealed in 2009 that she had also been raped by a well-known person as a young woman, and she has vowed to name them in her upcoming autobiography. In 2018, Katie was raped again at gunpoint during a horrifying carjacking in South Africa. 4 years later, the mother of 5 revealed that she attempted suicide after suffering from anxiety, depression, and major trauma following the horrific assault. She has received help for her mental health struggles, with several stints at the Priory. Katie has also had several brushes with the law, having committed 11 driving offenses in the previous 15 years. One shocking incident came in 2021, when Katie crashed her BMW car on a country road in the early hours of the morning after drinking and taking drugs. Now though, seems the era of the new Katie Price. She is teased that the public will see a new side of her when her autobiography, This Is Me, is released next month. Katie explains, I hope the people who judged me feel ashamed of how they've been treating me when they didn't know what was going on. Now they will. I am just so busy, thriving, loving it. I've got a new house, a reset button, a new start. With a twinkle in her eye and pulling her signature pout, Katie concludes, the only way is up for me. And I'll admit, after our meeting, my eyes have been opened. So while I know there may well still be skeptics out there, I for one, believe her. Source, dailymail.co.uk. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.